Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name is Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off this broadcast with the singing of the United States National Anthem. I would ask everyone now to please rise. God bless America. I want to welcome everybody to the Emergency Management Associates program today. Folks, we have a lot to talk about. A great lot to talk about. The first story we're going to talk about now is a very, very sad situation. This happened in Oahu on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, just a few days ago. Today is January 6th, my daughter's birthday. I don't even know whether my daughter Natalie is watching this program, but I want to wish her a very, very happy birthday. She was born this day in 1981. Happy birthday, Natalie. I want to put this program out for all of you. This is an international program. What happened over here in Hawaii, on Oahu, the capital, or not the capital, but the biggest island in Hawaii, on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, is very much a tragedy. I'll talk more about this in just a few minutes. Let's watch this story.
And now to a deadly fireworks explosion outside a home in the Honolulu area. 3 people killed and dozens more injured during a New Year's Eve celebration. First responders racing to the scene. The injured rushed to local hospitals, many in critical condition. What we are learning tonight about the investigation. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
It started as a joyous New Year's celebration in Honolulu, but a few blocks from the crowd gathered on this balcony near Pearl Harbor, the celebration at one home turned deadly. You can see and hear a wave of violent explosions in the distance. Officials say at least 3 people were killed at the scene, dozens of people injured, most in critical condition with burn and blast wounds. Officials say the massive explosions were caused by illegal fireworks.
Mary, the governor called it a painful reminder of the danger posed by illegal fireworks. Officials say for some of the first responders who had been to war, the wounds reminded them of some of the things they'd seen in combat. Mary.
Just awful. Stephanie, thank you.
Okay.
And now to...
This is a very tragic situation. Okay. Let me just explain briefly what happened here. Someone, prior to New Year's Eve, purchased about $50,000 worth of fireworks. Aerial fireworks, as you can see. Okay? They had great big huge mortars to fire off the explosions high in the sky. There were young people involved here. A 14-year-old woman was killed from the explosion. A total of 3 people died. At least 24 more were injured in the fireworks-related incident on Oahu on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Honolulu Emergency Medical Services, Police, and Fire Department were all called to the scene in the Salt Lake Alaumanu area of Oahu, the Salt Lake Alaumanu area of Oahu, early January 1st in the morning. Footage from the scene showed multiple emergency vehicles on Keaka Drive. The Honolulu Police Department wrote in a post on X, major incident in the Salt Lake area. HPD, HFD, and EMS are responding to a major incident in the area of Keaka Drive. Please avoid the area as first responders provide emergency medical assistance and other assistance to the area. Authorities are investigating the cause of this incident even today, which took place again on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Okay? People from across the island were affected because they were all celebrating the arrival of 2025. Coming from the Honolulu Emergency Services, they responded to another call in the Kalihi area on New Year's Eve. A 14-year-old boy was injured after a firework exploded in his hand, according to paramedics at the scene. They transported him to the hospital for treatment. Major Rick Blangiardi confirmed the number of dead in a statement on New Year's Day. It is with both frustration and sorrow that I address the tragedy that occurred last night, New Year's Day, in Salt Lake, Oahu, just after midnight on New Year's Eve. A massive explosion caused by what appears to be illegal fireworks claimed at least 3 lives and left another 20 plus, now it's confirmed 24 people injured. 3 lives lost, 24 people injured. This incident is a painful reminder of the danger posed by illegal fireworks, which put lives at risk. They drain our first responder resources and assets and disrupt our communities. Now, why am I talking about this now? 5 days after New Year's Day. Number 1, I was first notified about this early this morning. Number 2, I was personally involved in illegal fireworks when I was a police officer in San Diego and also in Denver, Colorado. Illegal fireworks. People buy these fireworks from either south of the border or directly from China. Somehow they get to these residences, okay? Then people set them off, unknowing exactly what's going to happen. In this case, 3 people were killed. One of them a 14-year-old girl. Another 3-year-old person was also killed, as well as 2 adults. It's a sad day to report this. It's a very sad day to report this. Now, please, guys, please, and I don't care where you have fireworks, make sure they are not illegal fireworks. Make sure they are legal. Make sure you're legally able to possess those fireworks and launch those fireworks. Be very careful when you do it. Do not have little small children anywhere near those fireworks. Okay? In this case, 1 child was inside a garage up the driveway from where these fireworks were set off. 1 mortar fell on its side and launched fireworks into the house that hit the young child. 4-year-old child. Paramedics transported everybody to local hospitals. 4 hospitals. 1 burn unit hospital. Private people also transported their own family members to the hospitals because there are only 16 ambulances available. Isn't that interesting? 16 ambulances were available and only 16 ambulances transported people to the hospital, and others were transported to the hospital by family members. It's incredible. Again, this incident is still under investigation to 1, find out where the fireworks came from, how they were acquired, and who was responsible for what happened. And yes, criminal charges are going to be leveled against those responsible. Okay? Criminal charges are going to be leveled against those responsible. The government of Hawaii is trying to make it illegal to possess these kind of fireworks. Anything that explodes into the air is going to be deemed illegal. Okay? So please, please, if you purchase fireworks for any reason, make sure they're low-level fireworks, nothing like what happened here. Yes, $50,000 worth of fireworks. Okay? Hurricane Heather says that's like 500 pounds of fireworks plus, and she's right. I heard the mayor of Oahu, I heard from the mayor of Waikiki earlier today, I heard from the fire chiefs, both from Federal Fire Hawaii, coming from Pearl Harbor, and the fire chief from Oahu. I also heard from other firefighters and the police chief of Waikiki. Folks, this is dangerous. This is very dangerous. This does not just occur in Hawaii. The police chief, the governor, and the mayor of Oahu all said that 29 other states in the United States have things happen just like this all the time. It has to come to a screeching halt. People are getting killed. People are getting killed, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. It's got to stop. We have to be responsible adults. Small children were injured and killed in this event. It's a sad day. It's a sad day. Dr. Jamin's Place in the chat says that doesn't seem to be legal in any state. You're right. You're right. Let it be to the professionals. Let the professionals launch these kind of fireworks for everyone to enjoy. Don't you become another fatality. Don't you become another risk or go to jail over it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, guys. I'm telling you right now. I dealt with illegal fireworks in California. I also had gang members firing off weapons illegally. It's illegal in any jurisdiction throughout the United States and almost anywhere else in the world to fire off firearms in the city limits. It's illegal. One of my buddies was out at a traffic stop. He heard a round explode somewhere near him. He saw a bullet ricochet off a curb, and he nearly was hit by that bullet. It has to stop. It has to stop. Control yourselves, guys. You don't have to fire off illegal weapons into the sky or legal weapons into the sky. What goes up must come down. Don't be doing it. Don't be doing it. Judy Olson says hello from Southern California. Hi, Judy. I used to live in Southern California, San Diego myself. Unreal, guys. Unreal. Now, I wanted to talk to you about this because it's real. It's very much real. Now, I want to talk about a snowstorm. I'm going to have to set this back up for some reason. Okay, I want to play this video for you. Okay, it's unreal what the snow has done. There is a major snowstorm going across the United States as we speak. It started last week and it's continuing.
I'm very sure this has everything.
A lot of people have been affected by it. I'm going to try to stop the audio on this commercial here. Unfortunately, I can't stop everything. I can't play music and I can't play these kind of events on our channel.
Those closures. And that is where we find KMBC9's Jackson Gertz tonight. He is live in Overland Park. Jackson, tell us, where are you? We see you're driving, and tell us about the conditions out there tonight.
Hey, Bria, yeah, we are northbound on Knoll right now. You can kind of see the roads still need to be plowed a little bit from where we are. They were plowed earlier, but a lot of these main roads definitely going to need another crews to come out here and make sure they get them cleaned up for when everyone's off work, I guess, tomorrow when they need to go to the store or anything. But still may not be well enough to drive. All those roads, highways you mentioned in Kansas closed. A lot of people stuck off highways on our way into Johnson County earlier today. Just not too many people out taking advice, staying home, trying to stay safe during this blizzard. Beautiful snow, but with brutal winds.
It's snowing sideways, man. It's really scary out there.
The first snowfall of 2025 isn't playing any games.
We've been at his house since last night, and we were like, well, let's get out.
The roads are dangerous. So much so, Kansans got an alert on their phone saying to stay off the roads.
Everybody's slipping around, accidents are happening, it's not safe out there.
Still, there's some who've used a snow day for fun, like sledders or snowboarders at the Cleveland University Hill overlooking 435.
I was like, we gotta go sledding. And we were discussing a spot, but they didn't know where to go. And then he finally just said here, and I was like, oh, that's a nice hill.
Even with the snow day, officials still urging people to stay safe.
We got this big truck right here, so we're just 4x4. Big 4x4. We're just taking it slow, nice and easy on the roads.
Now, the good news is that blizzard, that just hard wind, that wind gust, wind chill was not as bad as it is 30 minutes ago. It's started to die down. It's thankfully gone away. As Brian mentioned, it's not as much as the blizzard conditions, but still pretty tough out here.
Okay, it's still pretty tough. It's a big deal. The first major winter storm of the year stretched across the United States and is continuing its deadly journey eastward, where cities in the mid-Atlantic, like Washington, Baltimore, and Philadelphia, are now experiencing significant impacts from the heavy snow and ice. The storm began its journey across the nation after slamming the West Coast, where it spawned the first tornado of the year in California. The winter weather then moved into the plains in the Midwest over the weekend, where blizzard conditions were experienced at Kansas City International Airport. Kansas City International Airport, guys, unreal. Literally unreal. Sleet and freezing rain led to numerous crashes across the region from Kansas and Missouri through the Ohio Valley and points eastward all the way to the East Coast. At least 6 people have been killed, including a child that was attributed to the storm across multiple states. A major winter blast, as it was described, of snow, ice, and heavy-duty wind, blizzard conditions, plunging temperatures in the United States and Britain, stirring dangerous travel conditions from the central and southern states all the way to the East Coast earlier today, prompting schools and government offices in several states to close. Snow and ice blanketed major roads across Kansas, western Nebraska, and parts of Indiana, where the state's National Guard was activated to help stranded motorists. I saw the same thing happen when I lived in Denver, Colorado. The governor brought out the National Guard to help stranded motorists on I-70 at Interstate 25 running north and south. Today and yesterday, at least 8 inches of snow was expected, along with gusting winds up to 45 miles per hour, blizzard conditions. The National Weather Service issued winter storm warnings from Kansas and Missouri all the way to New Jersey. For locations in the region that receive the highest snow totals, it may be the heaviest snowfall in at least a decade. The Missouri State Highway Patrol said a 33-year-old driver, after getting out of their car on Interstate 29 in Mount City, the vehicle began to slide, hitting the 33-year-old victim from Nebraska. Another death was reported in Missouri when a 61-year-old public works employee was struck while performing snow removal operations in Jackson County. Snow removal operations paused yesterday because of the incident and resumed this morning. We are deeply, according to the mayor and the public works director and the governor, they said, we are deeply saddened to announce the passing of Everett Carter, who dedicated 40 years of service to Jackson County, Missouri, including the last 8 years with the public works team. In Kansas, 2 people were killed in a crash in southwest Wichita during the snowstorm when a vehicle traveling on Interstate 235 spun out of control and left the roadway. I saw reports and saw video of semi-tractor trailers jackknifing on the roadway and sliding off the roadway. In Illinois, officials say a juvenile was killed and another is being treated for injuries described as life-threatening after a snow tube crash in Macon County. A snow tube crash. Officials said a man driving an ATV was pulling 2 boys on an inner tube in snowy conditions when the tube slid out during a turn and hit a large boulder, killing one of the teenagers. Unreal. A man named Gary Wright wore a parka as he chipped away at thick ice, coating his SUV in front of a slippery apartment building in a parking lot in Missouri. Wright said he was going to work remotely today, but he wanted to scrape off his vehicle as an excuse to spend just a little bit of time in the snow. He also was seeking boots for their 2 older dogs that won't budge at all outside the house because their paws hit the cold ground. The polar vortex is ultra-cold air that usually spins around the North Pole. People in the United States and Europe and Asia experience its intense cold when the vortex escapes and plunges southward. That's exactly what's happened during the past few years, and even this weekend. School closings are expected to be widespread today and even into tomorrow and Wednesday. Districts in Indiana, Virginia, and Kentucky began announcing cancellations and delays yesterday afternoon. The same thing happened here in Morganton, North Carolina. The school district extended its closings into today because of bad weather. Icy rain and fog, contributing to icy highways here in North Carolina. Classes have also been canceled in Maryland, where Governor Westmore declared a state of emergency yesterday and announced the state government would be closed today. Keeping Marylanders safe is our top priority. Please stay off the roads during the storm. Prepare your home and your family, and charge your communication devices just in case you lose power. Over the weekend, at least 600 motorists were stranded in Missouri. Hundreds of car accidents were reported in Virginia, Indiana, Kansas, and Kentucky. One state trooper was treated for non-life-threatening injuries after his patrol car was hit. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency and said government buildings would be closed today. He said, "We are seeing far too many wrecks out there for people that do not have to be out on the roads, so I ask you all to stay safe." Virginia State Police reported at least 135 crashes as a storm entered the state Sunday. In Charleston, West Virginia, where several inches of snow had fallen by Sunday night, authorities urged motorists to stay home. In Indiana, snow-covered portions of Interstate 64, Interstate 69, and U.S. Route 41, prompting Indiana State Police to plead with motorists to stay off the road, stay home as the snow plows work to keep up. It's snowing so hard that the snow plows go through, and there, within a half hour, the roadways are completely covered again. Roughly 10 inches of snow fell in Kansas, with eventual totals predicted to be topping 14 inches of snow for that state and northern Missouri. In Kentucky, Louisville recorded 7.5 inches of snow just yesterday, and today it's measured at 7.7 inches, a new record for the day. It shattered the previous mark of 3 inches in 1910. 1910 there were 3 inches of snow, and yesterday there were over 7, and now it's 7.5, 7.7 inches. The storm was forecast to move into the Ohio Valley and reach the mid-Atlantic states today, with a hard freeze expected as far south as Florida. A hard freeze expected as far south as Florida. Winds and downed trees around the deep south happened yesterday already. High winds and downed trees causing power lines to fail. Power outages. The storms caused havoc for the nation's passenger railways, with more than 20 cancellations yesterday and 40 more cancellations today. If local authorities are telling people not to travel, it's counterintuitive to try to run a full state of services when people are being told to stay home. Nearly 200 flights in and out of St. Louis Lambert International Airport were canceled. Starting today, the eastern two-thirds of the United States will experience dangerous, bone-chilling cold and wind chills. Temperatures could be 12 to 25 degrees below normal. Let me tell you what it was this morning. We had temperatures here in Morganton of 17 degrees above zero Fahrenheit. 17 degrees this morning. By 10 o'clock it was 31 degrees. By 1 o'clock it was 35 degrees. Just to give you an idea of how cold it's been here. One of our neighbors tried to start his vehicle yesterday and he couldn't start it because the cold killed his battery. You need to prepare. You need to prepare for your families and everyone else that's going to be bearing this winter weather. In Chicago, temperatures hovered Sunday in the teens and dropped to 11 below zero in International Falls, Minnesota. International Falls is the nation's, the United States' coldest temperature place in the U.S. It's known as the coldest temperatures in the United States. International Falls, 11 degrees below zero Fahrenheit, near the Canadian border. Power has also been knocked out across the entire region. As of this afternoon, PowerOutage.us reported hundreds of thousands of outages across portions of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia. Now, the storm is bringing its fury to the mid-Atlantic states, causing major disruptions to travel and daily life, and widespread power outages. After a lull in the storm this afternoon, another round is moving into the region tonight. Another round of the storm is moving around in the region tonight. Now I'm urging all of you, don't be caught out in it. This lull in the storm is only going to last a very short time. Stay indoors. Don't be caught out when the storm starts up again. It's a very dangerous and very cold storm with winds as high as 40 to 45 miles per hour. Now, I've been in contact with the Virginia Department of Emergency Management earlier today. They have warned residents not to let their guard down during the break in the winter weather. Don't let your guard down. While this break in precipitation is allowing road crews to continue to work to make roadways passable, any moisture remaining on the roadways could cause the roadways to refreeze, with temperatures dropping below freezing temperatures. Okay? Please limit your travel unless absolutely necessary. And don't have a false sense of security. because this winter weather isn't over yet. In the advance of the storm, governors of several states, including Maryland, have declared a state of emergency and warned residents to stay home, if at all possible, to ensure your safety due to the treacherous driving conditions on the roads and highways across the entire region. Icy conditions will persist at least during the next several days. Then the precipitation may end. But temperatures are going to continue to drop to at least in the east to teens and single digits. Everyone needs to be aware of the cold weather, and you need to take precautions. Dress warmly if you're going to go outside at all. Also beware of extreme weather conditions, extreme weather temperatures, especially if you're going to be working outside. The colder temperatures can cause a skin to freeze very quickly if you're not adequately protected. If you have respiratory problems, be extremely careful and know your limits of exposure with your lungs. Do not stay out in these temperatures. It can be very dangerous. Do not stay out in these temperatures as it can be very dangerous. I'm giving the warning to you now. Okay? This channel is all about preparing everybody for dangerous conditions, including this. We've talked about this in previous years. We're talking about it right now. Know your limits. Back when I lived in Sandy, Utah, 30 miles south of Salt Lake City, I was out shoveling my sidewalks because there was a law that said your sidewalks had to be shoveled within a matter of hours after a snowstorm. We got 6 inches of snow at one time and 6 inches of snow another. And we had almost, I want to say, 1,200 feet of snow to shovel. And even I was out in it. I was out in it, even with this. And an oxygen tank right beside me. Know your limits. Yes, I got my wife and my son to help out with the snow. People die every year from cold weather exposure. Cold weather exposure. Cold weather can affect your lungs even during a short period of time. If you are elderly, please do not overdo it. You could also suffer a heart attack due to the overworking of your body in the cold. Keeping everyone safe is our top priority. Keeping everyone safe here at Emergency Management Associates is our top priority. And as a result of that, I want everybody to share this warning to everybody else in your families and your contacts on the internet. Share this program. It's top priority to keep people safe. Prepare your home and your family. Charge your communications devices in case you lose power. With the cold temperatures, it's likely that power lines are going to snap. Even with the least amount of wind, the power lines could snap. Maryland Governor Wes Morris signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency, and he directed the Maryland Department of Emergency Management and their coordinators to respond with the Maryland Department of Transportation, the state police, and all state agencies. Other governors and mayors have also done the same thing. The state of Maryland was closed today because of the cold and the storm. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser was also taking steps to prepare their residents for snow in Washington, D.C. It's very important. Here you see people round and about over on the mall in Washington, D.C. These people are on the mall in front of the Jefferson Memorial. Okay? The D.C. mayor was taking steps to prepare her people, and she declared a snow emergency through at least the end of today and possibly the end of tomorrow. With that declaration, vehicles are being ordered not to park on snow emergency routes. That's the case around the United States. If you live on an emergency route, remove your vehicles. Put them in driveways, in garages, or wherever else you can. They will not be out on the roads, or you could get cited for having your vehicle there on an emergency route. Okay? Your departments of transportation are going to try to pre-treat those roads to set a presence to make sure your roads are safe to drive on. The pre-treatment in Washington, D.C. started last night. Officials have been warning residents across the nation, literally, across the nation, from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic, to include portions of the Interstate 95 corridor, to stay off the roads if possible. The Virginia Department of Transportation said road conditions began to deteriorate yesterday, and they were expected to remain treacherous today. Virginia Department of Transportation spokesman Alex Liggett spoke this morning, and he said crews have been busy pre-treating the roads, but he urged people to stay off the roads if at all possible. Stay off the roads. He said, we did a full brine of about 2,000 lane miles, but that does not mean that all roads will not have black ice. Black ice can still occur even though the brine was out melting the ice. The ice can refreeze, or the water can refreeze on the roadway and have black ice that's very treacherous. All you have to do is have a very thin layer of ice. A very thin layer of ice will send you off the road, and even worse things can happen. The main thing that they are urging residents is just to stay off the roads. Do not travel. You know, if it's essential, and if you must, do it with extreme caution and go very slow. The dangerous winter storm was also wreaking havoc at major airports, like I showed you in that last slide. Let me bring that last slide back up here. Blizzard conditions at airports. Blizzard conditions at airports. Airliners can't fly. Many airlines were grounded and airports are closed, especially in Washington, Baltimore, and the Philadelphia areas. Okay? Hundreds of cancellations have been reported at Ronald Reagan International Airport, Washington National Airport, Baltimore, Washington Thurgood Marshall Airport, Washington Dulles International Airport, and Philadelphia International. Those numbers of airports closed are going to rise as the storm continues to onslaught this region. And this could have a ripple effect across the entire country. Numerous delays have also been reported at major airports in the Midwest, such as St. Louis Lambert International Airport, Kansas City International, and the Indianapolis International Airport. Chicago O'Hare is also reporting delays and cancellations due to snow in the area earlier today. Passengers are also being warned about possible travel delays at Boston Logan International Airport due to the winter storm in the Mid-Atlantic. You need to be contacting your air carriers. If you're due to travel on the airlines, contact your air carriers now. Don't wait until the last minute. Contact your air carriers and see if your flight is still going to go out. And then if you have to go out, be very careful driving. Amtrak said it too was adjusting train schedules due to the storm. According to Amtrak officials, some trains operating between Boston and Washington, as well as numerous trains in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, have been canceled. Trains operating between Boston and Washington, as well as numerous trains in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, have been canceled. State offices were closed in Delaware today due to the snowstorm. Delaware Governor John Carney said he activated the Delaware National Guard to assist where needed. Winter storm warnings are stretching across the United States from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. and include major cities as Indianapolis, Baltimore, and Washington. A winter weather advisory is in effect from Philadelphia, West Virginia, and Virginia, and even North Carolina. The Fox Forecast Center said that the storm is expected to pound the mid-Atlantic states throughout the day and wind down possibly tonight. Possibly tonight. The heaviest snow is expected in the central Appalachian Mountains, reaching all the way down to North Carolina. From Washington to Baltimore metros, as well as Delaware. Within the snowfall area, the Fox Forecast Center said earlier that a narrow strip but an intense strip of very heavy snow, with snowfall rates approaching 1 to 2 inches per hour. Snowfall rates approaching 1 to 2 inches per hour. Travel is going to be very dangerous, extremely dangerous, if not impossible. Snowfall totals in the double digits are expected. The heaviest snow is going to impact Washington, Baltimore through this afternoon and into tonight. As the main area of the snow slides offshore, a secondary area of snow will pivot back into the Appalachians and mid-Atlantic into the overnight hours. That's why I'm saying, don't be getting fooled by the storm. There's going to be a small break in the storm, and then it's going to get more dangerous. Don't be fooled. Hurricane Heather says if you are a new driver, please don't drive at all. I echo that statement. Let me tell you a short story about that. When I was 16 years old, I got my driver's license. Actually, I got my learner's permit at 14. I got my driver's license when I turned 16. And I went out on a date one night. I went and drove 7 miles to my date's house and picked her up and drove 7 miles back to this church where we were having a dance. We danced for about 3 or 4 hours. Actually, probably closer to 3 hours. When the dance was over, we got bundled up again, got out in the car, let it warm up, and then I drove 7 miles back to her house. It was the most fearful, dangerous time I've ever had in my life. 16-year-old with a car, my parents' car. I did just fine. However, it was the most harrowing time of my life, other than being in law enforcement. One of the most harrowing time of my life. I was literally white-knuckled, driving 7 miles to my date's house and 7 miles back. Unreal. That was in North Dakota. Just out, I lived in Fargo, my date lived out in West Fargo, 7 miles from my house. Tonight, moderate to heavy snow is much more likely. It's going to be much fluffier than what occurred yesterday and today. It will add a few more inches of snow before the storm winds down by tomorrow night. The public needs to be aware of the risk of frozen pipes that pose a risk to property and possessions. And if you live in a house or an apartment, keep your sinks dripping. Keep your sinks with a steady, tiny flow of water. That tiny flow of water will keep your pipes unfrozen. Keep a tiny flow of water going through your faucets. That will keep your pipes unfrozen. Okay? You need to know about the risk of frozen pipes. Frozen pipes can cause a risk of water flooding your house or your apartment. Last week, we had an issue with a frozen pipe out in front of my apartment complex. They had to dig out part of the landscape to get at the water main that froze. They had to replace the water main. Okay? It wasn't the residents' fault that the water main froze, but the water main froze and it burst the pipes. You need to be very aware of what's going on around you. This can happen with the tiniest freeze. the tiniest hard freeze. Okay? Deborah Reese is asking, can she get a hint about Hawaii? I will, Deborah, hang in here to the end of this broadcast, and I'll talk more about Hawaii. I promise. Okay? Now, again, I'm going to give you some advice about pipes. If at all possible, wrap your pipes and water tanks up. You can go to your home improvement center and they sell insulation you can wrap your pipes with. Fix dripping pipes. Fix dripping taps. Know how to turn off your property's stop tap. Know how to turn your property's stop tap out in either your yard or in the sidewalk. Know where it is and how to turn it off. That will save your house in case you have a burst pipe. That way you'll have a chance to get a plumber out there to help you. Check your central heating. Make sure your central heating is serviced. Some of you're turning your heating on for the first time. When you turn your heating on for the first time after it's been off all summer, you may smell a little bit of burning going on. That may last only a few minutes. If it lasts much longer than that, you need to get it checked. Okay? But make sure your heater's serviced so you do not get carbon monoxide poisoning. Make sure your heater is turned on and has been serviced, because heaters with a faulty heater can die of carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay? Leave your heater on low if you're going to be away from your home or your apartment. Keep your apartment warm. Keep your apartment or home warm. That way your pipes do not freeze in your home or apartment. Okay? Now I want to talk internationally now. I want to talk about snow internationally. Snowstorms are not just happening here in the United States, it's happening everywhere. Literally. It's happening everywhere. The police service of Northern Ireland has warned us of treacherous driving conditions and some vehicles that got stuck in the snow last night. Belfast International Airport said there may be some delays to flights while snow has been cleared from the airfield. In England, major incidents have been declared and dozens of people have been rescued in Lincolnshire, Leicestershire, as heavy rains caused severe flooding in the Midlands today. Firefighters in Leicestershire received hundreds of calls on Monday, which is yesterday. Yesterday was Monday for them. The firefighters and police rescued 59 people, while in Lincolnshire, 50 children were taken to safety after the school was cut off by floodwater. Meanwhile, police in northern Yorkshire found the body of a man in floodwaters in Beal, close to Eggborough and Nottingley. Almost 200 flood warnings have been issued in parts of England, including a new severe warning introduced in Leicestershire today, including large-scale evacuation was needed. The severest Scotland and Wales and areas of northwest and southwestern England until Tuesday morning. Warning for the River Soar covers caravan parks near Barrow upon Soar and means there is dangers to life. Travel disruption caused by the cold and wet weather has affected much of the United Kingdom, with roads, railways, and airports all affected. In Leicestershire, crews helped evacuate residents from flooded homes, and they came to the aid of drivers trapped in their cars. Leicestershire County Council told the BBC it had been called to 160 flood-related incidents in the county so far. In Lincolnshire, school children had to be driven to safety by volunteer drivers at 4x4 vehicles after roads leading to Edenham Primary School near Bourne were flooded following heavy rainfall. Further, 16 people were rescued from properties in Billingboro near Bourne and were being temporarily housed in a village hall on Monday night. Meanwhile, police in North Yorkshire say a man whose body was recovered from the flooded area in Beale is believed to have entered the water on Saturday or Sunday, meaning he was in the water all that time. Police said the man has been formally identified, but efforts to trace his next of kin were ongoing, so they will not announce his identity probably until at least tomorrow. There are currently no suspicious circumstances surrounding the discovery of that body. Warning of further localized flooding to come over the next 24 to 36 hours. The mayor of Lincolnshire, Yorkshire, and the other areas are pledging to overhaul the government's approach to flooding defenses to ensure that the challenges facing businesses and rural and coastal communities are taken into account when delivering flood protection. Meanwhile, yellow weather warnings for snow and ice have been issued in Northern Ireland. Parts of the Met Office also issued what they call yellow weather warnings for snow and ice, which is in effect from 11 o'clock GMT on Tuesday. Overnight temperatures were falling below freezing in the past week, and they are expected to do so again in the coming nights. There is a separate warning in place for possible snow across counties of England on Wednesday, lasting from 0900 GMT until midnight. These storms could produce as much as 2 to 5 centimeters of snow, about 2 to 3 inches of snow. In the Republic of Ireland, thousands of customers are without water as snow and icy conditions continue to grip that part of the country. Now, I'm going to talk to you about driving and not driving during wintry conditions. This applies to everybody internationally. Doesn't matter whether it's here in the States, here in Canada, or internationally. I'm talking about precautions for driving. It's safer not to drive in icy conditions, but we recommend a number of precautions the drivers should take if it is necessary. Looking well ahead for potential hazards, and keep your speed down. Don't stay tunnel focused. Do not stay tunnel focused. Look ahead far enough for hazards that might affect you and your vehicle. Using a higher gear may be more appropriate. If you have a standard shift transmission in your vehicle, using a higher gear may be more appropriate to help keep grip on the roadway, especially with packed ice. The higher gear helps manage engine power, making it easy to find traction on the roadway. Another is making sure you have proper tires on your vehicle. Earlier today in England, the PSNI advised motorists to avoid the Coleraine Mountain area of Limavady County and Londonderry, as the heavy snowfall left a number of vehicles stuck and traffic unable to pass. The area is now passable, but the PSNI has urged drivers to exercise caution while traveling in the area. The temperatures been recorded and forecast to be 0 degrees Celsius. 0 degrees Celsius, and now that's going to continue to be at least that way for another 7 consecutive days. Road conditions in the area are treacherous due to the current weather. The Met Office in England and Ireland have issued yellow warnings for snow and ice and wind. That began at 1500 hours GMT on Monday, warning of rain, sleet, snow, and wind showers, which are going to lead to icy stretches on roads in untreated areas. Please slow down. Increase your stopping distance from the vehicle ahead of you. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about winter weather? Does anybody have any questions about the winter weather? I want to make sure we answer any questions. This is real. This is very, very real. Linda Covington's asking in the chat, ever get stuck in traffic for hours, not able to move? Yes. Many times. Renee Sevi says, plan long trips in EVs, electric vehicles, as batteries drain quickly in the cold. Plan your trips in electric vehicles. If at all possible, do not use electric vehicles at all. The batteries drain very quickly, and all of a sudden you'll become stranded. Hurricane Heather saying, also dry feet. Keep your feet warm and dry. Wear adequate footwear. Wear adequate footwear, and also socks. Stockings. Long underwear. Long underwear. Dr. Jamin's place, it says if you start hydroplaning, let off the gas and coast. I agree. Let off the gas and coast. The engine will slow your vehicle down naturally. Okay? Arnold Schmidt is here in the chat saying, Ron, what are the statistics for drowning in the winter months? Death rate increases? No, actually, the death rate decreases. It decreases, fortunately. That's as much as I know, because when I was a cop, the death rate decreases from accidents on the roadways due to drowning. Darlene Ram is saying, don't ride your brakes on icy roads. Do not ride your brakes on icy roads. You can lose control. Okay? Renee Steppy says, heat escapes from the top of your head. Wear hoodies, hats, beanies. Conserve your body heat. Conserve the body heat. If you feel you're getting cold, go inside. Don't wait even a few minutes. Go inside immediately. Do not let the heat from your body drain out. Okay? Linda Covington saying, get hand warmers at Dollar Tree. Yes, Dollar Tree is selling hand warmers. Okay? Put hand warmers in your emergency preparedness kits as well. Put hand warmers in your emergency preparedness kits as well. Okay? Dr. Jamin's place is also saying this, and I concur. If you hit the brakes, you're going to spin. Do not hit your brakes, let off the gas. Slowly let off the gas. Okay? Dr. Jamin's place says don't expose your skin. I agree. I talked about that earlier. Do not expose your skin to these icy temperatures. It's not worth it. Your skin will freeze. Your skin will freeze in just a few minutes. Don't let that happen. Freezing skin is very painful. Darlene Ram says stay at least 2 cars distance from the car in front. I'm going to say stay a lot further than that. Stay 5 or 6 cars or more away from the car in front of you if at all possible. If at all possible. Okay? It's dangerous, guys. It's very dangerous. Now I have some good news. I have some good news. Let me play this video for you. President Donald J. Trump and his vice president nominee, J.D. Vance, won the election on November 5th. Today was a certification of the election. Let me play this video for you.
Madam President.
Well, before I get there, okay, this is a speaker from a various state announcing the certification of the Electoral College votes in the state. This is how that happens. Let me just brief you on this part of the vote, okay? It was certified, okay? Now, on December 11th, this past December 11th, the states issue certificates of ascertainment at least 6 days before the meeting of the electors. Your state's executive prepares 7 certificates of ascertainment. Immediately after the election, results in your state are certified. The executive sends one of these original certificates of ascertainment to the archivist. The archivist of the National Archive in Washington, D.C. On December 17th, the electors vote in your states. The electors meet in their respective states and vote for president and vice president on separate ballots. The electors record their votes on 6 certificates of vote, which are paired with the 6 remaining certificates of ascertainment. The electors sign, seal up, and certify the 6 sets of electoral votes. A set of electoral votes consists of 1 certificate of ascertainment and 1 certificate of vote. On December 25th, Christmas Day, electoral votes arrive. Electoral votes must be received by the President of the Senate and the Archive, National Archive, no later than the 4th Wednesday in December. If votes are lost or delayed, the archivist may take extraordinary measures to retrieve duplicate originals. On or before January 3rd, the archivist transfers the certificates to Congress. As a new Congress assembles, on January 3rd, a new Congress assembled and was sworn into Congress. New members of Congress, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives, were sworn in. As the new Congress assembles, the archivist transmits the certificates to Congress as they are requested. This generally happens when the Senate does not receive its set of certificates on time. The transfer occurs in late December or early January when the OFR's legal staff meets with representatives of the Secretary of the Senate and the Clerk of the House, and the Congressional Parliamentarian. Today, January 6th, Congress counts the electoral ballots, the electoral votes. Congress met in a joint session today, both the Senate and the House together, to count the votes. The Vice President, as the President of the Senate, presides over the count and announces the results of the Electoral College vote. The President of the Senate then declares which persons, if any, have been elected President and Vice President of the United States. If any objections to the electoral vote are made, they must be submitted in writing and be signed by at least 1/5 of the members of the House and 1/5 of the senators. If objections were presented, the House and the Senate withdraw to their respective chambers to consider the merits of the objections under procedures set out in federal law. Only two grounds for objection are acceptable: that the electors of the state are not lawfully certified under a certificate of ascertainment, or that vote of one or more electors has not been regularly given. If no presidential candidate wins at least 270 electoral votes, a majority of the 538 available votes. If no presidential candidate wins at least 270 electoral votes, a majority of the 538 available. Under the 12th Amendment to the Constitution, the House of Representatives decides a presidential election. The House of Representatives would decide the presidential election. If necessary, the House of Representatives would elect a president by majority vote, choosing from among the 3 candidates who received the greatest number of electoral votes. The vote would be taken by state, with each state having 1 vote. The District of Columbia does not vote because it doesn't have voting members in the House of Representatives. If no vice presidential candidate wins at least 270 votes, vice presidential candidate winning at least 270 votes, which is a majority of the 538 votes available. Under the 12th Amendment, the Senate then elects the new vice president. If necessary, the Senate would elect the vice president by majority vote, choosing between the 2 candidates will receive the greatest number of electoral votes. Each senator would have one vote. Each senator would have one vote. Now let me continue on with this video. I think it's important because we had thought that the Democrat communists here in the United States would stop this from happening. That did not happen.
President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the great state of Wisconsin seems to be regular in form and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 10 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 10 votes for vice president.
Okay, that was one of the states, Florida. This went on for every state. This went on for every state. You see J.D. Vance sitting with the senators, because right now he's still a senator until Inauguration Day, which is January 20th.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Wyoming seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 3 votes for vice president.
Members of Congress, the certificates having been read, the tellers will ascertain and deliver the result to the President of the Senate.
The President of the Senate is the President and Vice President, Kamala Harris.
The undersigned, Deb Fisher and Amy Klobuchar, tellers on the part of the Senate, and Brian Steele and Joseph Morelli, tellers on the part of the House of Representatives, report the following as the result of the ascertainment and counting of the electoral vote for President and Vice President of the United States for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2025.
The state of the vote for the President of the United States, as delivered to the President of the Senate, is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio has received 312 votes. Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota has received 226 votes. This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected, President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
Notice how Kamala shook his hand. Mike Johnson got to shake her hand. I thought she might walk away.
The purpose of the joint Senate having been concluded pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 2, the 119th Congress, the chair declares this joint session dissolved. Thank you.
Okay, the joint session was dissolved earlier this afternoon. Now, this joint session will not reoccur until the State of the Union, I believe, in February. Okay, the joint session will not occur again until the State of the Union come February. On January 20th is Inauguration Day. The President-elect, President Donald J. Trump, and J.D. Vance, the Vice President, will take the oath of office and will become the President and the Vice President of the United States, respectively, January 20th. Now, with that said, I still believe that there may be some problems. I still believe that there may be some problems. Okay? We need to all watch our P's and Q's. We need to watch whatever else is going on. Okay? Yes, Diane Kelman says payback for us conservatives. Yes. Okay? Now, on another note, I have had some people ask me to talk about this tonight. The state funeral for President Jimmy Carter will continue as planned from Tuesday through Thursday this week. President Jimmy Carter died at age 100 on December 29th, 2024. He was the United States 39th president. The Carter Center has released the official funeral plans and schedule events to honor him. The Carter series of ceremonies will begin Americus on January 4th and conclude in Plains, Georgia on January 9th. He'll also spend time in Washington, D.C., Washington State, and the nation's capital. A number of events are open to the public to pay respects to Jimmy Carter. The events begin in Americus on January 4th, and they will conclude in Plains, Georgia, January 9th. The Carter family has invited the public to participate in a number of public viewings and funeral processions planned in both Georgia and Washington, D.C. On January 6th, today, Jimmy Carter lies in repose in the Georgia state capitol. Mourners will pay their respects between 6 a.m. and until tomorrow, January 7th. Mourners can pay respects between now and 6 a.m. tomorrow, January 7th. Tomorrow, Jimmy Carter heads to the United States Capitol at 9:30 a.m. He departs the Carter Center, Presidential Center, for the last time. At 10 a.m., the Carter family and Carter's remains will arrive at Dobbins Air Reserve Base. The Carter family and Carter's remains will board Special Air Mission 39 at 10:40 a.m. tomorrow. Special Air Mission 39 will depart Dobbins Air Base at 12:45 p.m. Special Air Mission 39 will arrive at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. Carter's remains will then be transferred to a hearse. At 1:15, 1.5 hours later, a motorcade will depart for U.S. Naval Memorial, where Carter's remains will be transferred from a hearse to a horse-drawn carriage. At 2 p.m., the Washington procession will arrive at the U.S. Capitol building. At 3 p.m., Carter arrives at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. The Washington service begins. Members of Congress can pay their respects. From 7 p.m. to 12 a.m., Carter's remains will lie in state while military remains there as an honor guard. Mourners can pay respects until midnight. January 8th, Jimmy Carter lies in state. 7 a.m., Carter will lie in state where a military member honor guard will maintain the guard of his honor. Mourners can pay respects until 7 a.m. on January 9th. At 9 a.m. January 9th, Carter departs the U.S. Capitol for the last time. The motorcade travels to the Washington National Cathedral. At 9:30 a.m., a brief arrival ceremony will be held. At 10 a.m., the National Funeral Service will be held. At 11:15 a.m., an hour and 15 minutes later, the motorcade will then travel to Joint Air Base Andrews in Maryland. At 11:45 a.m., the Carter family and Carter's remains will board Special Air Mission 39 again. Special Air Mission 39 departs Carter's final journey to Georgia. At 2 p.m., Special Air Mission 39 arrives at Lawson Army Airfield at Fort Moore. Carter's remains will be transferred to a hearse. At 3:30 p.m., the motorcade will arrive at Maranatha Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia. This is where Jimmy Carter spent a lot of time every Sunday teaching a Sunday school lesson. He did the same thing when he was able to as President of the United States in Washington, D.C. At 3:45 p.m., the private funeral service will be held. An hour later, at 4:45 p.m., the motorcade travels to Carter residence, where the public is invited to line the motorcade route. At 5:20 p.m., the U.S. Navy conducts a missing man formation, flying over the area in honor of President Carter's naval service, and time as the Commander-in-Chief of all military forces here in the United States. Private interment will be held at the Carter residence. Mourners have been asked to arrive early to all public ceremonies. Pack patience. Pack your patience. The lines may be very long. Leave personal items at home. Security will be in full service. Security will be in full force at every place. No public parking is available at the Carter Presidential Center. List of prohibited items, public access points, and motorcade routes will be released the day prior to each ceremony. I hope you guys got that. Linda Cummings says you can't bury ground frozen solid. It's been done. It has been done. But that's what is going to happen with Jimmy Carter during the next 4 days. I wanted to make sure we announce that because I've had a lot of people ask me. Okay? Now, I want to thank all of you for being here. Again, please share this program far and wide. This program needs to go out to everybody you know. We've given you emergency information here in the United States and also abroad. Please share this information far and wide. Lives are at point. Lives may be in danger. Please share this program far and wide. It's essential for people's lives to be saved. Okay? Diane Mayers is checking in from Rhode Island. Thank you, Diane, for being here. Now, does anybody have any questions at all? because I'll be happy to answer any questions. Someone asked more information about the fireworks situation over in Hawaii. It was a sad day. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day was a very sad day. Okay? Let me give you more information here. Okay, I'm trying to find the briefing that I was privy to.
Magnitude 6.4. Depth 6.2 miles. 8 minutes ago.
Just a second here.
Oh my.
Okay. I'm going to give you a news report right now. Now, if you just bear with me for just a second. Layla is asking, where was that earthquake? It was a very strong 6 over there. Just a second, I'll tell you where it was. It was in Zhejiang, China. It was in southwestern China. It was a 6.5 magnitude earthquake. A very strong 6.5 magnitude earthquake in southwestern China, in Zhejiang, China. Now this happens. This happens at least once a year there. It's a very dangerous area, okay? It just is. Let me share this news report with you. Now, when this comes up, it's going to have a brief commercial. All YouTube videos.
Well, I'm standing in front of the house where all of this tragedy unfolded on New Year's Day. Now, as you can see behind me, just the sheer amount of damage that was done from those fireworks, all of the windows blown out on that second story. Right now, there's friends, families, neighbors that are all come over to help assist in this whole cleanup process and getting rid of a lot of the debris. Now, earlier today, Governor Josh Green stopped by with Police Chief Joe Logan and said that this whole area just looked like a war zone, but also said we should anticipate more fatalities in the coming hours to days. Now, Governor says one is on life support at the moment. Officials saying that this tragedy was so preventable. And witnesses tell me it was a large party and everyone knew something went wrong when they felt and heard the explosion right at midnight. And everyone quickly began assisting victims. Videos captured the horrific moments as the clock struck midnight.
Exactly at 12 when everything went off, that's when the big boom was. Exactly at 12 was the boom. And then I knew it was bad because just by my house, I have the old jealousy windows, it rattled, and I've never had that before. I looked and I just seen people screaming and stuff, and everybody was everywhere.
Officials say 2 women were dead on arrival and more than 20 were taken to the hospital in critical condition. Aveyah says neighbors quickly assisted. Alcohol wipes and water bottles were seen littered across the streets.
Honestly, it looked like the injuries looked like it was in a war zone.
The first ambulance pulled in, it wasn't just 4 or 6 patients. It was 5 and then 10 and then 15, and then early estimates were at least 20 patients, and all very, very severely injured, critical burns, pleading for help surrounding the initial ambulance.
He says it's standard for EMS to set up triage for a mass casualty incident.
What was significant about this event is there were just so many in the red category. Of the 21 patients we transported to hospitals, most of them were considered red or critical.
Homes and cars across the street were damaged, windows blown out. One woman took us inside of her home to show us her cracked ceiling and said all of the photos fell to the ground. A 12-year-old told me her friend lives at that house and was calling out for her name for help, saying she couldn't feel her leg. She hasn't received an update since. Green says another patient is on life support, donating their organs, and he's worried for another child who is also in critical condition.
Over half of the people that are in the hospital are probably going to have life-transforming injuries with burns and disability. There will be limbs lost. They gotta stop. They gotta stop. This is not a joke. This is actually a bomb, and it becomes a war zone. What you're looking at behind me is a war zone.
Everything was going off. Everything was going off. The little boy was in there. That little boy's special, though. It's a special little kid, because he was in the middle of everything. Imagine, you guys see all the videos on his social media. That little kid was in there, just standing in shock, and I grabbed him, brought him outside of Aveyah. I couldn't hold him. That's how hot he was.
Governor Green estimated about 10,000 illegal aerials were going off last night and said there's simply not enough officers in the state to respond to that. And also here on Kayaka Drive, the families are just asking if people who don't live on the street can avoid the area, as they do have heavy equipment and machinery coming in and out as they're trying to clean up the house. There's plenty of people coming by just taking photos and videos, and the family is asking for privacy at this time. Now, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is also investigating this incident. From Aliyah Manu, Nikki Schemfeld, KH12 News, working for Hawaii.
Okay, that's the story from Hawaii, guys. And it's serious. This is very serious. We cannot take this just sitting down here. We all need to exercise very much safety. You all need to exercise safety whenever we're around fireworks. And please, please do not do major fireworks yourself. Avoid it. Avoid it. Do not expose small children to fireworks. Avoid it. That one girl died who donated her organs. Her family donated her organs. She died. Unreal. Unreal. Stephen Volcano's here in the chat saying a major 7.0 earthquake hit Zhejiang, China. We have it here as 6.5, and yes, it may have been a 7.0. We know darn well that USGS downgrades these earthquakes. Okay? We've had 2 X1 solar flares. We've had 2 X-class flares already. That is why we're having these larger earthquakes now. Okay? That's what's happening. Guys, if anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you all being here. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Your being here means a lot to us. I'm not here for numbers. I'm here to try to save lives. That's what we do best, saving lives. Please, folks, share this program far and wide. Everybody needs to see this information. If anything else happens, like I said, we'll be here again tonight or early tomorrow to tell you about the information as soon as it becomes available. Otherwise, we'll be on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Same time, same station. Please check your subscriptions. Make sure you're still subscribed to this channel. YouTube has been unsubscribing people. 2 days ago, we started off with 6,000 179 subscribers, and by the time this program started this evening, we're down to 6,177 again. Now, 5 years ago, nearly 6 years ago in April, we started a channel and we got to 25,000 subscribers. YouTube took me down, dissolved that channel because they didn't like what I was talking about. Because Biden's FBI said, oh, you guys got to censor these people. Got to shut them up. So YouTube shut me down. 25,000 subscribers we lost. Now within a year and a half, we're back up to almost 6,200. Please, folks, help us get to at least 12,000 subscribers before the end of this year. Check your subscriptions, make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And when you subscribe, there's a little bell icon. Click on that bell icon. YouTube is supposed to let you be notified when we come on the air. Click on that bell icon. Then click on the word all. That should get you notified when we come on the air, but YouTube's not doing the job. And yes, Ethiopia is still shaking. Ethiopia is still shaking. The whole rift zone is splitting. The whole rift zone, that earthquake fault, is splitting. It's going to split Africa. Just like the mid-Atlantic plate is expanding in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The mid-Atlantic plate is expanding. Okay? We'll have more information about that tomorrow and throughout the rest of this week. I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. I love you. May God bless you. May God bless you this night and always. Hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. We will see you on the other side. Take care, everybody. We love you. See you soon. Good night.